Alright guys, welcome back to another one. We're not really loading anything today. Well, maybe. I've just got a bunch of these wads to slit and stuff and figured, just do a casual hangout while I slit them. Got a few things to talk about. Maybe some stories to tell. Got a few of these 20 gauge Sabo slugs cast up, some in 12 gauge. Talk about what we're doing with those. Some updates of things I got going on with all this stuff right here. Just cool stuff like that. But I have so many boxes of 16 gauge, just target loads, bird loads, just hanging out back there. Figured why not break a couple down and load them into some #1 buck. Just for next time that me and Josh or my brothers are out just having a range day, just shooting some stuff, just having a good time. Figured why not take out a box or two of buckshot just to have fun with. But let's slit a few of these, shall we? This is Gary Caskey's wad slitter. Doing a 4-pedal. Flare it out a little bit, show you better. 4-pedal, 3/4 cut on these guys right here. That's what I like best. 4 pedals and a 3/4 cut seems to give me the best results. Actually, that one looks like it's more of a half cut. The cool thing about these right here is you can control the depth of the pedals. Like if you want a half cut, you can set it for a half, 3/4, full cut, 1/4 cut if you want that. It's a really handy thing to have. Also, it'll do 12 gauge, 28 gauge holes. Here's a 20 gauge hole. I've never done this before. Something I've been wanting to try lately, just been too lazy to get around to it, is trying out a 20 gauge hole in a 16 gauge as a 16 gauge wad. So again, never done this before. We're just going to see how it works. I imagine it cuts the hole pretty good. It bottomed out about halfway down. What did I bottom out on here? Oh, I know what it was. I have a waxed hard card at the bottom of this. It hit the bottom of it. That's okay. I just set it a little bit more shallow of a cut. Whoa. Reflexes. And we'll get that 3/4 cut I want on this. There we go. That did it right there. Awesome. We might load this up here in a minute. You guys have seen me do the 28 gauge hulls and 24 gauge. Use the 28 gauge hulls as 24 gauge wads. I've done it in 10 gauge a few times. It seems to work pretty well. It does work in 24 gauge quite well. Haven't done it 16 yet, but that's what we're going to do here in a moment. But let's cut a few more of these. What I'm doing here is, you guys may not be able to see this so well, but there are mold lines in the wad. See it right here on top? What I'm doing is lining that blade up with those mold lines and then just pressing down. Just like that. I'll show you why. There are these little windows. See it right here? That's where these wad pedals hinge open at. Now, I don't have it cut far enough down to do that, but I may want to, so I always line it up with the mold lines. But that's where they hinge open at, and as you can see, every pedal is cut right in between those two windows. Okay, just as an example here, now, before I do this, they don't make TPS wads in 16 gauge, but they do make them in the PT series, the PT 1680. It's also called the VP80 on other websites other than Ballistic Products. But let's just pretend this is a TPS wad and it doesn't have the windows down here. I'm going to show you guys just how fast you can go with this thing right here and the consistency you can get. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You guys get the idea. 6. There's 6 done in probably 10 seconds. And look at this. Hold on, let me flare it out again. These CSD wads are tough. The plastic is pretty thick on them. The consistency on these things right here is just great. You can't beat that tool. Like I've said in a previous video, I'd imagine you can knock out an entire bag of 250 of these in probably 45 minutes, an hour, maybe even faster. Gary makes these wad slitters in 12, 16, and now 20 gauge. He just messaged me earlier tonight and let me know that he now has them available in 20 gauge, and he now has available these GX heads. This is the one that I've been using. I believe this was maybe one of the prototypes he was working on. I think Wade Rush actually coined the GX term, but from what Gary tells me, the GX can cut deeper into the shot cup, which is great because that just lets you have more flexibility. Like I mentioned earlier, you can cut all the way down to the bottom, half cut, 3/4 cut. This one's a 2-pedal, similar to the MG42 wad, except it doesn't have the cushion section. This might be great for steel shot loads, but anyway, yeah, I just want to let you guys know that Gary now has these available in 20 gauge, and I believe he's still working on it in 10 gauge. Gary, if you are and you're watching this, let me know if you're still working on the 10 gauge one. I would like to purchase one when it's ready. 20 gauge wad slitter comes with a copper shaft. I'll include a picture of it right here. It honestly looks really cool. And that 20 gauge wad slitter will cut the CSD and TPS wad series, which is great because there aren't many extended range 20 gauge wads, and both the TPS and CSD wads are really good. This is actually my last 20 gauge TPS wad, 3-inch. Yeah, last one. I gotta pick up some more. I do plan on doing some extended range 20 gauge videos in the future, but right now the only buckshot size I have that will fit in this wad or the CSD is number 4. Josh has number 2 buck, but I'm not sure if that'll fit or not. I don't have any right here to test out, but next time I go up to his house, I'm going to see if I can't get a few off of him just to see if it'll fit in this wad. And if it does, I might have to break me down and order a number 2 buck mold, or at least number 3. If you guys want one of these wad slitters, head down to the description of this video. I'll leave Gary's info. He operates through Facebook, and he has an email. I'll include that too. You guys get in touch with him, tell him I sent you, and ask him what he's got. I'm sure he has some other stuff that you guys may be really interested in. Like I said, I really want one of these in 10 gauge. That'd be really handy because the one right here, it'll cut 10 gauge wads, but sometimes it makes them all lopsided because the 10 gauge wads are quite a bit bigger than 12 and 16. But let's move on to some of this other stuff right here. I got a few things I want to talk about, you know, some stuff that I plan on doing down the road. Yeah. I've been doing a lot of mini shell videos lately. I think I just have one up right now, but I've filmed a few. They're uploaded. They're just set to schedule. They'll release over the next month. But I've done it so far in 12, 16, and 24 gauge. This one's 10 gauge. Yeah, 10 gauge mini shells coming. I've already got a couple loaded. Got the load figured out. Just letting you guys know, the Browning BPS will not feed mini shells. Nope. I've actually forgot what the length of the shell is. Hold on, I'll tell you. I've got a bunch of 10 gauge hulls that me and Josh or me and my brothers have fired that the crimps was split. Number 4 buck ripped the hulls up. You know how it goes. 1 7/8 inches. That's what this was. But anyway, I've got a bunch of these 10 gauge hulls that, these aren't them. But, like I said, they've split or something stupid's happened to them. So, I've been turning a few of them into mini shells. That one right there may be a bit too short. Anyway, just thought that'd be cool. Mini shells are cool. I like them. One of you guys was asking how to change out the gauges on the reload all. Well, it's really simple. It just takes at most 3 or 4 minutes. Might be going through a little bit slower today just because I'm explaining how to do it, but essentially you're going to want, if you have shot and powder in this, what you want to do is take the top off, set it over there out of the way, and these two bars right here, the arms, you want to grab a hold of them and pull outwards while holding on to the, let me get it here, the hopper. Make sure you hold on to that if you have shot and powder in it, and I'll show you how to dump that out. Let's just say this is just a container of shot. Like I said, what you want to do is pull out on the bars until it separates from the hopper while holding on to the hopper. Lay those bars down, pull up on it, separates just like that. Now what you want to do is this side, now it's facing the right way. The left side of it right here is for the powder. What you want to do is cover that with your hand and just dump out your shot into the shot container. Once the shot is empty, set it aside and get your container for your powder or just your bottle of powder and cover the side for the shot, dump your powder out. Now that you got your hopper empty, what I do is just set it aside for a moment. Just going to set it right here behind me. We're going to load here up. I'm converting this from 20 back to 16. But what you're going to want to do is get I dropped it, 1/4 inch drive, wrench. There are 2 screws here and here inside the hopper. All you want to do is just take your wrench and loosen those screws up. Now these screws are really tight in the 20 gauge press that I have, but on the 12, 10, and 16 I have, they come out real easy and quick. Yeah, this does take a second with this one. Gives your arms a good workout. Oh God, I'm glad that's over. Oh yeah, this right here, slide that out and put it back in the spring on top. Now, off camera down here, I have these set up on my side of my dresser with screws. They're actually mounted to the side of it. I gotta grab my 16 gauge. Let's see, that's the 16 right there. Now, to reattach it, you just go back the opposite way you took it off. Make sure it's lined up right first. Now, like I mentioned earlier, getting the 16, 12, and 10 gauge kits back on is easy. The screws aren't nearly as tight in that plastic as it is on the 20. Yep, it's time consuming. Guys, these are just $25 each. They're really cheap. Now that you got that converted, you're done with that, just set it aside. Get you a screwdriver, and I'll bring you over here real quick. There are 2 screws in the shell plate holder right here. Just loosen those up and replace it with the correct gauge shell holder you have. Like this is going back to 16 from 20. My shell holder plates are in here along with Lee Lodahl resize rings and mech resize rings, as well as mech crimp starters. You got the 20 gauge one. I believe that's it right there. Yeah, it is. This is the easy part of this. All of it's easy, but this one is dead simple. You guys want to know the reason why I had this windowed out right here in my press, if you can see it, is because I had a bad habit of dropping these screws down in the hole right here. I would have to take my press off of this dresser just to get those screws out from underneath it, the inside of it. So what I done was took a Dremel and dremeled out a window in the base of the press, and that is now where I store my roll crimp tools. Super handy. Just a tip, if you guys have a bunch of roll crimp tools and you have a habit of dropping these screws inside your press, just window it out. Don't bother with taking the whole press off your bench. It's time consuming. These things are hard to get back in. The wood on this dresser right here is like that thick, no joke, and it's very hard to get these in and out. Yeah. So anyway, 16 gauge shell holder plate. Screw started. If you guys are having a hard time seeing, I apologize. But it's literally just that easy. If I wasn't talking and explaining it all, I could have this whole thing changed in about 2 or 3 minutes. If I'm really trying to go at it fast. But anyway, your hopper, oh, yank my hair out. Now the press is set up for 16 gauge. Left out the 20 gauge shell plate. Put that back in my drawer. And let's load up that 16 gauge shell with this wad. I have an 1/8 inch fiber cushion wad in the base of this. I'll tell you what the overall length is right here. The bottom of it is fold crimped in. Where did I put the tape measure? There it is. Crimped and cut off of the base of the hull, the brass. This is 1 5/8 inches. Going for 1.5 ounce load, but we'll see how that works out once I get to it. Grab a 16 gauge hull out of here. That'll work. This is a brand new primed hull. It was previously loaded, but I took it back apart. Let's see. 1.5 ounce load. I'm using now 24 grains of Alliance steel instead of the 22 grains. The 22 grain charge seemed to be, it's around 1100 FPS. I like it a little bit higher velocity. 1250, 1150, 1175 is where I want it. So, using 24 grains of Alliance steel. Should be it right there. Nope, it's 20. That may have been too much. 26. 25. 23. We'll run with 23. It's probably closer to 24. My scale doesn't do tenths of grains. It just does whole grains. So it's probably 23.5, close to 24. Again, that's just crimped in, 1/8 inch waxed hard card. Gave it some compression with my press. The Alliance steel likes to be compressed, and that comes up right to the top of the crimp right there. We're going with 1.5 ounces of number 6 shot. We're not using any buffer in this load. This is more of just a test load. Oh, that's 1.6, a little bit too much. There we go. Again, that's 1.5 ounces of number 6 shot. 6-point crimp. Not bad. There you go, you can see it. Pretty good looking crimp on that. Now, in theory, this should be running about 1150 FPS. PSI is probably somewhere around 10,000, 10.2. And this may be the world's first yellow 16 gauge shell. Which is, again, another cool little thing. Looks pretty cool to me. And yeah, I could have used the CSD wad for that. I've done it many times. 22 grains of Alliance steel, the CSD wad, 4-pedal, 3/4 cut, and 1.5 ounces of buffered number 6 shot makes an awesome turkey load. If you guys want to see the pattern to that, go back and watch my video entitled 1.5 ounce 16 gauge turkey load. Fairly decent results at 30 yards, I believe the shot was. But I've got 100 of these Lyman Sabo slug 20 gauge slugs. I've got 50 of these 12 gauge ones cast up. Now, the cool thing about these slugs is, well, for me, they're not just 12 and 20 gauge. They're also 16 and 24 gauge full bore slugs. Multi-use slugs, really cool. My friend Zach has these molds right here. They're the Lyman Sabo slug molds. Has one in 12 and 20. He let me borrow them to cast up a whole bunch of slugs, which is what I'm doing. If you guys have any ideas for these that you want to see me and Josh do, let me know. Both of us are huge fans of slugs, although we haven't shot a whole bunch of them before. But we have dabbled in, the slug world quite a few times. If you watch our videos regularly, you'll know that on camera we have a bad habit of missing with slugs. But I promise we're not that bad in real life. Like, it's just an on-camera thing. Here's one of the Lyman 12 gauge Sabo slugs. Right here. All I've done to it is I have a 16 gauge 20-inch barrel Stevens. All I've done is wedge this through the barrel with a rubber mallet and a big long socket extension. Swaged it through my bore. This slug, well, not this one, but the one in this haul is now fit to that bore. I tell you the load on this right here. It's a stout one. I got this from Ballistic Products, load of the week. If you guys want to see this, go to the website and dig through the load of the weeks, and you'll eventually find it. It's 50 grains of little gun, 1/2-inch fiber cushion wad, the Lyman 12 gauge Sabo slug, modified down to 1 ounce, and to do that, I took a drill and drilled out the base of it a little bit more down to just 1 ounce, 1 ounce even, and powder coated it. And guys, this slug is moving 1650 FPS. That is a powerhouse of a 16 gauge slug load. Now, Winchesters and Federals, they're not all of them, but some of their factory 12 gauge 1 ounce slug loads are moving 1600 FPS. This is slightly faster, and that's not even as hot as you can push this load. You can push it quite a bit faster than this. As this sits right now, it is more powerful than factory 1 ounce 12 gauge slugs. And it's hard cast lead. It'll penetrate pretty deep. I can't wait to shoot that. That's going to be a stout load out of a 16 gauge. Now, these socket slugs right here. I've been seeing a lot of people over at Buck and Slug Reloaders on Facebook actually loading these up now and testing them out for themselves. They're getting great accuracy with them, pretty good results. It's actually becoming pretty popular now. I have done this in just about every gauge except for 410 is the only gauge I have not done this in yet. I've done it in 10, 12, 16, 20, 24, 32, and 28. I don't have a 12-point socket. That's I think it's a 10mm or 9mm socket that I need. I just don't have one. The smallest I have is 11, which is for 32 gauge. But if you guys want to see how I made this, I can't show it on YouTube, but go to rumble.com and search my name. It'll pop up. It's just like this, but it's powder coated red in the thumbnail. It was on YouTube, but they took it down. I can't help that. I'm sorry, but you gotta obey YouTube's rules. All this is powder charge, X12X gas seal, fiber cushion wad, and this is the powder piston section off a ballistic product short shell wad, and the slug is a 1.5 ounce slug screwed to the no, I'm sorry, this is a 1 3/4 ounce slug screwed to the wad right here. That stabilizes it in flight. It does have a slot hollow point, and that's a very effective load. Got one right here, also 1 3/4 ounces, 1400 FPS, 3.5. I don't have a 3.5 inch rifle barrel or standard bore 12 gauge. The Mossberg 835 we have is a overboard barrel. Can't shoot slugs in it. But one day we'll pick up a rifle barrel for it, or standard bore. This one right here, 20 gauge socket slug, 1 ounce. I also have some 1 ounce and 1/8 socket slugs loaded over there for 20 gauge. 35 grains of little gun, low profile gas seal, 1/4 inch fiber cushion wad, Claybuster 3/4 ounce wad with the pedals removed, 1 ounce socket slug screwed to that wad, fold crimp on it. You guys can't see it, but 20 gauge socket slugs. This one's moving, this was the 1 ounce one, it's moving about 1400 FPS. Again, pretty stout load for a 20. Let's see what else I got here. Got these old red 20 gauge shells. Got them on Gunbroker for really cheap. Just got 25 of them though, but got, yeah, 25 of these red 20 gauge shells, Winchester Western Experts. These right here, Winchester Super X, back when they were high brass with, I'm trying to show you here, there you go, the neat design on the brass, and these are tapered. Modern Super X shells are straight wall and very thin plastic. Not a very good shell, but they work good. There's another one, and also in the same lot I got just a few old school AA loads, tapered. This is the old style, not the AA HS. Alright guys, I'm going to finish slitting up these wads right here. You guys go follow me on Rumble. I'm going to do some casting videos and maybe some slug videos over there. I can't do them here on YouTube, but I will do them on Rumble, so go follow me there. Line that up. Oh, I've got a lot more of these to do. That's okay though, it's all just in the fun of reloading. But let's go end this video here, guys. Appreciate you joining me. I know this one's a little bit different, not what we usually do, but I just felt like getting on here and talking to you guys while I maybe slit some wads and, you know, just talked about some stuff I have going on in general. But appreciate you guys watching. We have some range videos coming shortly. Stay tuned for those. One of them's a 20 gauge buckshot, another one's 16. We'll have more on the way soon after these two that's coming up. But thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.